Welcome to the Digital Pen Pals podcast. I'm Tux Bodai, or Lincoln. This is episode 18, and I am here with my co-host, Zach Schertz. How are you doing today, Zach?
I'm doing fantastic. If anybody else is new here, we both are artists and streamers, and we make stuff online. And we're here to help you learn and from other people that do art and how to just be better in general as an artist in this day and age.
And today we're joined by our super duper special guest, Walt Disney himself. How's it going, Walt?
Doing pretty good, but yeah.
Oh, wait, he's frozen in
That's
ice.
Mickey.
He's completely frozen. Okay, never mind. Walt's not here. It looks like he had to do a rain check. We'll get him one day, you guys. We'll get him one day. What are we talking about today, Zach?
We are not talking with Walt Disney. That would be cool, though. Maybe in the future sometime. But we are going to be...
Or in the past, time machine episode.
Yeah. But this week we're talking about becoming an artist online, specifically through TikTok. And so me and Tux believe that anyone can get 10K followers on TikTok being an artist.
I don't believe it. I know it.
Yes.
Any artist and anybody out there that wants to create a following on pretty much anything can, and specifically on TikTok is what we'll be talking about, because that's where we found the most success.
Yeah. And I think it might be interesting for the listeners to not to brag or anything, but just to kind of clarify our authority.
You can word it any way you want. I'm gonna brag.
Yeah. Just to kind of clarify our authority on the situation. I'm the lesser of the two of us. I recently hit 10. I recently hit 10K on TikTok. I'm at like 10.7 thousand followers. And what about you, Lincoln?
I have like 2 followers on TikTok. No, I have 28K on TikTok, and my TikTok is all over the place. And I've actually gone inactive on that account. I'm trying to build up another account, focusing on other things right now. But yeah, I've learned a lot specifically from my TikTok journey and exploring social media. TikTok was kind of like my first time, like actually putting effort into some sort of content creation and social media push, and through following like goals and like actually thinking about the stuff I put out, I have found what I would like to call success in 28K followers, and I'm very confident that you can get 28K followers, listener, and you too, Zach, and even more than me, because you guys are a lot more talented than I am. But we're gonna talk today about how any artist can do that and how we did it. So Zach, how did you hit 10K on TikTok? What the heck? How did that happen?
So I first downloaded TikTok this is kind of like the initiatory phase of it. You have to download TikTok as a joke, right? That's what I did. Because I was like, oh yeah, well. TikTok's just kind of cringe content, whatever. Just people dancing and stuff. So I thought I would download it just to have some fun in my free time and just kind of just do some stupid videos, see what was going on, see what all the cringe videos were about. And for the most part, when I downloaded it, it was like early stages of like, it must have been like 2018, maybe 2019, where it was still like sort of cringy. Trend. But like, I don't know, it was a little bit different than I thought. There were a few videos here and there that I was like, oh, that's kind of funny actually. Like, this could be sort of like a replacement for what Vine used to be. But it was just a little bit different. But then I just kind of dropped it because I didn't really know what I was doing. I think I made like 1 or 2 videos promoting my YouTube channel, thinking, oh, actually, I'm getting a lot of views on here. This is kind of crazy. And so I kind of experimented to threw out a couple videos. They didn't do too well just because I didn't understand persistence and like what to do exactly to keep it going. But then I just kind of stopped. And it wasn't until I met you, Lincoln, that you're like, hey, you need to get back on TikTok and start making stuff. That's really where it's at right now. And that's kind of how I started. What about you?
So I started TikTok around the same time that I bought my drawing tablet. Around that time, I had just dropped out of college, Yahoo, and so like I saw just like art stuff going on there, and so I was like, okay, cool. I'll just film myself using like the reflect, like there's a little reflect thing when you're using the brush tool on Photoshop, and you could like make it reflect in a circle. And so I
Oh,
think I
like
told you the
a
story.
symmetry kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, the symmetry tool. Yeah, I don't
Symmetry
know if
tool,
I've
but
told
like
you
you
this
did it in
story,
like a
Zach.
four-way symmetry or something like that, right?
Yeah, and I just like drew scribbles and then used popular audios to it, and that like they got like thousands of views, and I was like, oh, this is cool, and that's like how I hit like my first 500 followers, and I was like, oh, neato, and then I was like, maybe I should pursue digital art more because people are following me, and so then I did like a video of me drawing a Pokemon profile picture for my friend Matt, and I got like 8,000 followers, and everybody was requesting me to draw Pokemon, which led to me starting streaming, which is what I'm kind of focusing on right now. But I started streaming drawing Pokemon, and I was taking requests from the chat, and that's kind of like how I blasted off my Twitch. And then from there, I started to do more digital art content. I tried doing more streaming centered content, and I'd like to say my account was all over the place, and I would not recommend this. Of course, always try new things with your account and do what kind of content you want to watch and what you want to make and what you're into. Because if I just kept making the same like reflect tool videos over and over, I don't know if I would have liked it again, and my production quality was really low, and I was like, oh, this Pokemon thing's working out, so I branched out to Pokemon. So always do what you want and do what you like, but I branched out to like a lot of things, so now my following is kind of splintered on my TikTok account, and that's kind of why I've been less active. But I started making enamel pins, which was stemmed from the digital art stuff, and so I started making videos on how to produce enamel pins in China and overseas, because that's what I do. And so I put a bunch of tutorials, and that like blasted off my TikTok account, got me to 20K, and then I got a 3D printer and started making 3D printing videos. And here I am now, and I haven't posted a video in like months on my TikTok.
Yeah, I've been kind of like a little inactive as well. Maybe not as quite inactive because I do pop up every once in a while. But I was grinding at it for, I mean, you know this, I was grinding at it for so long and for so hard. It's just like I I just got kind of burnt out and like sort of, I don't know. It was weird because I really pushed for 10K because I saw the potential of some of my videos. And like when I first started getting back into the art content, I was like, okay, well, people are just showing like their like art TikTok started to become a thing. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I was looking at some of the videos, my feed started to become more filled with like just art content. And I was like, oh, this is the kind of stuff that I could be making. And like, this is cool. You know, it's easy because you're just filming with your phone and everything. So it's like not very, you know, high production value or whatever. And so I saw a little bit of a potential because I'm like, hey, like I normally film like YouTube videos from time to time. And I know I really love trying to get on quality stuff and like with lighting and things like that. And so I was like, maybe I could take that and make my phone quality look good, or even posting some of my like film stuff on my camera and like post that there. Cause I was like, maybe quality might, you know, do something. And I think a big thing just,
Zach's a very talented videographer. Don't sell yourself short, Zach.
thank you.
Zach is like really good at video stuff and like setting up lighting. He's like taught me everything I know about setting up my camera and like doing good lighting. So
Yeah.
when he says like putting production quality into it, like he's putting really good stuff. I just didn't want you to brush over that and be like, oh yeah,
Oh,
I guess I started adding lighting. Like no, you were like doing good lighting and like really good videography stuff.
thank you. Um, yeah, I was pouring a lot of the stuff that I've learned, like most all the stuff that I've learned has come from YouTube, like, you know, YouTubers like Peter McKinnon, all those. Like I like following videographer like and documentary filmmakers and stuff like on YouTube because I think I find it really interesting. You know, again, like maybe it's not exactly what I am pursuing, but like I like learning techniques from other different medium sources and like applying it to things because I feel like merging art and videography is like such a really good thing to do. And so that's what I started trying to do. Not so much like you know, filming stuff on my camera because that just takes longer to edit versus like editing something in the native TikTok app. That's just a lot easier and faster. Um, but
Yeah, you
yeah,
don't need an expensive camera to make your videos look good. You just need
yeah,
like you can use like literally a light bulb you got from like Walmart and like
yeah.
a Jimmy rig setup.
I say a
Didn't you
good
have
rule
one
of
of
thumb
those
is
for a
always
while?
like just have like a cheap light Like even like I got like a $16 LED light, work light from Walmart, and then I just strapped that thing into like a box, and the box I put over top on the other end like this white fabric, and it does diffusion, which just means it basically spreads the light more evenly and softer, so it's not just like a harsh light, but it's like it's a little bit more soft. And like literally that's what I went with for a long time, and that works great. I'm actually going to be making another little box light because of that, because it works so well. And I actually got like an actual like studio light for myself, which I love. But I still am like, wow, the quality was almost just the same with the box light though, as I call it, the box light. And so I'm gonna be making another one of those. But yeah, you really don't need much. And what I started doing was like, okay, well, I am for as for me, I've attended school for art, and so I knew a lot of like more like technical stuff. I'd been doing digital art for a few years, and so I was like, okay, like I can teach how to use Procreate on the iPad. I can do some tutorials, and that's kind of where I started to see a lot of success was doing tutorials and doing kind of like a part series of like, hey, I'm going to do a digital painting, how to do digital painting. Here's part one, and so I just go over a specific little topic in like the 45 seconds that I have to like record something, and then I'd move on to like next thing. Oh, I could talk about layer modes or something, or I could talk about this, and so that's where I started to see a lot of success, and a lot of more viral videos and stuff like that came from that, and so that's kind of like how I finally got to 10K. But that also kind of like included like underneath everything was a lot of more of like viewer engagement. So I would like reply to people's comments. I would sometimes reply with like a video to a comment that people might make. I would
Do a
also
lot of
go on
lives right
TikTok
now.
live once I hit 1,000 followers. With my experience like doing streaming as well on Twitch, I would stream for a few hours on TikTok just talking to people, and that kind of helped push my page more, because when you're live, it does kind of push that, you know, when someone's scrolling and sees a video, if you're live, that also highlights on your profile picture on the video, and so it kind of like drives a little bit more traffic to your page. And so that's where I saw a lot of success too, is when I went live, I'd get a few more followers than I normally would. But that's kind of like in essence a very basic summary of like how I got to 10K.
So enough about me and Zach. What about you, listener? How are you going to become the next TikTok superstar? How are you going to gain even just a small following on TikTok? Well, the first part is planning. Isn't that right, Zach?
Yes, planning's pretty important.
I'd
Um,
say. Oh, yeah.
oh, sorry.
Hello. I'd say most of the success I've found on TikTok is when I planned out and made like a plan of attack. Every once in a while, I'd make like an off shoot video of like, oh cool, let me try this thing, let's see how it works, spur of the moment kind of thing. And sometimes they do good, sometimes they pop off. But a lot of the times when you're making content, you want to be like, okay, what what is like my target audience? Like who are the people watching my stuff, or who is the person that I want to be watching my stuff? Like if I want to make content for aspiring artists, for people that are trying to be good at art, then I'm not going to be making dancing videos, or I'm not going to be making videos just showing off my art. I'm going to be making videos like Zach's making, which is like more informative or art tips or art motivation, compared to just like, hey guys, look at my cool art.
Yeah, definitely. And like I've seen like people too. Like I feel like a very one thing I would say to avoid is kind of like the sort of whiny kind of TikToks where like, oh man, nobody follows me. I got like 4 followers. Look at my artwork. That's usually like always like for me like a no go, because when you start uh, sort of complaining about not having followers or not having this and that, that's, it's like, well, you gotta make some videos for it to happen. You can't just expect people to follow you just because they see your artwork. They typically want to see some sort of value.
It's better to show people why they need to follow you rather than tell them like,
Yes.
hey, I'm so and so, I do this, this, and this. This is why you should follow me. You go, no, I'm gonna make a cool video and show you how to do this thing, and then you're gonna like my stuff and follow me.
Yeah.
Um, because really, at the end of the day, your follower count doesn't necessarily matter. What matters is how many people are constantly watching your stuff, interacting with your stuff, and saying like, "Oh wow, I love this new Zach Shirts video," or like, "Shoot, Tux put out a video. I love this. This is great." So like, if I had 1,000 followers that only like 10 of them cared about my stuff, I'm just as good off with 10 followers. Well, there's some arguments to that, like 1,000 gives you lives and stuff. But the core of the argument here is basically you want engaged followers, because followers that like are just following you for pity, or it's a pity follow, or I just
Follow
said the
for
same
follow.
thing twice. Yeah, or follow for follow is it's not necessarily an engaged follower. You want followers that love to see your stuff. You want to make people obsessed with everything that you come out with and be like, "Wow, this was a great video."
Yeah, I would say that's totally true too. It's just, um, you gotta have like a purpose for what you're doing, and like, um, you can't please everybody, and you're not gonna get the views that you think you are. Um, Sometimes I've watched many of people start doing TikTok, like other artist friends that have jumped on, and I always kind of stalk their pages just because I think it's interesting. I like learning about algorithms and stuff like that, and how social media platforms work. But it's interesting. Some people that have started, they don't get very many views, but I think they deserve more. And then some people, I'm like, they're actually really good. Like if they jump on TikTok, they'll probably get a lot of views. And I've actually had like this conversation. I mean, this is basically the kind of conversation Lincoln had with me when I started TikTok. He's like, okay, you got to do this and that. And if you do this and that, and you're consistent, then you're gonna do great. And so I told my friend, I was like, hey, I had success with like doing tutorials, and if you start doing them and you do them kind of like in this way, in like a very TikTok-y way, like people will follow you and you're gonna blow up. And as soon as they started making those kind of videos, I was like, dude, you're gonna blow up. And immediately after a few videos, he started getting like tens of hundreds of thousands of views, and his page blew up, and he's bigger than me now within a way shorter amount of time. So it's kind of hard because you can feel like, oh my gosh, I've worked so hard and so long, but someone right next to you who just found the right niche can blow up really fast versus you. For me, I felt like mine was a very slow growth. I mean, consistent, but but it was definitely slower than I thought it was going to be. But I think that's another important part, is just not giving up, because you got to be in it for the right reasons, and you got to be able to be happy making the stuff you're making. Otherwise, you're just going to quit.
And I want to dial back there a bit. I just want it to be known on the record that I am the reason your friend has all his following, because of the tips I gave you and you gave him. So I just want to take credit for that.
Yes.
Completely serious here. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. I promise you. I take credit for all of that. Please give me all those followers.
Yes.
But yeah, so knowing what you're offering or what you're even doing on a social media platform is great. Like it's fun to show like what you're doing in life, but people are looking for like a value. So basically the phrase I like to use is nobody cares until they care.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a pessimistic view, but like nobody cares about what you're doing in your day-to-day life until they care about your content or what you're putting out. Like think of it like the paparazzi. Like they're always telling us what every single celebrity's doing, and it's creepy and it's obnoxious, and every single time they post something on Instagram or say something controversial or share their opinion, it's put on every single news platform. And because we see that, we think like, oh, everything I put out is going to be hyper-analyzed. But it's like, no, nobody necessarily cares. So just make good, informative stuff. And hey, if you make a video that you think people are going to be upset about, or you make a video that is like maybe cringy, or like, oh, I'm afraid like my friend's going to see this and make fun of me, or like I'm afraid people are going to see this and make fun of you. Like I've done so many videos where I'm like making a fool of myself and trying to like dance and include like informative content, like, and I've gotten no hate for it. And so you can do that too.
Yeah.
But know what you're putting out and offering. So for example, Jack Bohm, who we just had on recently, who works at Epic Games, he has a pretty large following on TikTok, and he makes just stellar. Like we talked about this on his episode. Go watch
Mm-hmm.
that right now, you guys. He makes stellar informative content and instructional videos. So like every time I see a Jack Bowman video on my feed on TikTok, I know, shoot, this is gonna be a good video. This is a good TikTok. I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna learn something from this. So you want people to see your video appear on their feed and be like, oh shoot, this video is going to be this. This video is going to be that. So it's like, oh, the Zach Shirts video, this is going to be a good Procreate tip. Or like, oh, it's a Tux video. He's going to talk about enamel pins. Or like, oh, it's a Charlie D'Amelio video. I'm going to see some dancing. Cool.
Yeah.
But you just need people to know like what you're going to put out and get a following to basically follow you for that reason and not for, hello, I just spent a bunch of money and I need followers to support me.
Yeah. I definitely don't like the whiny TikToks. Those definitely don't go over well, and people still do them. But yeah, I totally agree with all that of what Lincoln said. Like, there are things that you told me that were like definitely more technical that we won't really get to in this video. But just the idea that TikTok's where it's at right now and growing is very possible is like the main important thing. But yeah, just like you were saying with having some sort of value, I like to compare it to like thinking like the quote unquote consumer. Like what do you do when you're just like have free time and you're on YouTube, for instance, and you're watching stuff? Like what do you click on? Why do you click on it? Even if like it's kind of interesting because I've gotten that mindset too now where I'm like, since I've been doing more YouTube videos, thinking about that and trying to get better at what I make on YouTube, I like to try to like, I'll be mindlessly scrolling through YouTube and I find a video and I click on it and I don't know the person. I don't know if they're reputable. I don't know what kind of content they make, if they're good at making videos, if their editing is good or bad, if their videography is good or bad, because those things are things that I pay attention to. That make me want to follow somebody. But yeah, I click on videos and I'm like, okay. And then I judge. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Maybe I got drawn in for the topic or the information that was promised. And then I stayed because I was like, oh, actually, this is really good. Or they have some sort of like special quirk about them that makes them different and interesting. And that's why I would subscribe. And so on TikTok, you really gotta kind of think about yourself. Like, I mean, it's not a hard question, but just think, what makes me different? What's something cool that I can offer? That'd be fun. You don't have to be like such like a robot where you're like, I have to deliver the things that my followers want, but be able to find something that sets you apart and something that you can offer in your own special way. And a lot of people offers a lot of tutorials. For instance, like I know that the tutorials that I make sometimes are not very original. Millions of other people have done videos on clipping masks, let's say, on digital art. But what can I do? What can I deliver to people to make it better? Well, I can simplify it a lot better than people have made it out to be, make it very simple and a lot shorter of a tutorial, and I can be able to maybe make visuals on the iPad, and I make a visual of like, oh, this is what this does, or talking about sizing of like a canvas or something, like how to size it. And so I can visualize it. I'm like, oh, how you have like a TV screen or most of your computers are a certain size? Well, that's basically the rule of thumb with like sizing canvases for digital art. Like you can base it off of these pixels. Just have to remember this, and anything bigger than that is pretty good. So I try to like think of ways that I can make it simple for people who are just starting, if that makes sense. But yeah, you definitely want to give some sort of value to people and like what you deliver, and even if it's similar to other kind of content, what sets you apart. And I think that's what you should focus on.
Exactly. And sometimes it's a good exercise to be like, okay, this was a viral video. Let's try and recreate it so that you can kind of get in the mind of the creator and be like, okay, so this is how they did that and that's how they did this, and then you can implement that further into other videos. TikTok, the platform of TikTok is almost like the king of stolen content.
Yeah.
Like I see the same videos
And nobody
all the
cares.
time.
It's like like a ruleless Gotham. People are just like, alright, cool.
Yeah, some people will even just steal videos complete verbatim and sometimes the videos will do better than the originals, and that's just how it works. You take video ideas, and I think the streamer Ludwig refers to it as the yoink and twist. You basically yoink a video idea, and you twist it. That's what he does for his YouTube videos, and you can apply the same for TikTok. And on TikTok, you don't even have to twist it that much.
Yeah.
So what is your goal on TikTok? Why do you even want to hit 10K? Do you want to get on that spicy TikTok creator fund so you can make money?
Creator
I know
fund?
Me and Zach are both in the creator
Money?
fund. Dude, Zach,
What's that?
Tell me about all the cold hard cash you've made on the TikTok creator fund.
Oh. Yeah. You guys are not going to believe this number. It's insane. It's crazy. Definitely something to look forward to. Let me pull this up really quick just because I haven't looked at it in a couple of days.
I'll tell you guys about the TikTok Creator Fund. The TikTok Creator Fund is a fund for creators. Oh, wow, who'd have thought? But basically, when you hit 10K followers, you can apply for the Creator Fund. They'll review your account and say, boom, you get the stamp of approval. You will now earn money for your views. Isn't that awesome? That's great news. Wow, I can do content creation full time. I'm gonna quit my full time job. That's what you think, right, Zach?
Oh yeah, dude, like totally. Like that's how you make money. That's like you're basically like a YouTube version, but like on TikTok. You get monetized, right?
So how long have you been in the Creator Fund, Zach?
I believe I got approved and I got locked in. I think on the 3rd of March.
And
Is
what
what it
are you at
says.
right now?
I am at a total of $2.69.
Dude, you can literally buy a 2 for $2 hot and spicy McChicken from McDonald's. Not sponsored, by the way.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
So basically, monetization is a big step. Don't get me wrong. It's great to get monetized on a platform because now, if a video blows up, you're gonna get paid for it most likely.
Oh yeah.
But the issue is you get paid relative to how well your video does, and if you're only hitting like 1,000 views or like 5,000 views or just in the low thousands, you're not going to be making a lot of money. I've been on the TikTok Creator Fund for I think like 6 months. I've been on there for a while, and I think I'm somewhere around $60, and that's I think like 300K views or 400K views.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all, and TikTok is very unclear about it. As great as the platform is, I don't understand how the Creator Fund works, and there's a big shadowy mist around it.
Yeah.
And so it's super great, but basically you can't rely on TikTok to make a good living unless you are like one of the top people, and even those people are doing brand deals, they're doing Twitch streams, YouTube channels, they're doing all so much other things. In the amount of time that I've been running my TikTok account, I have made like so much more money from my enamel pin business that I promoted on my TikTok than I actually have from TikTok. And I'm not saying like, oh, I've made fortunes off my enamel pin business, because it's still an early thing. Tuxpins.com, go check it out. But you're not going to be making a lot off of TikTok. If that's what you're making content for, then I advise that you maybe pick another way to make money. Which, if things work out for you and you're doing fantastic on TikTok, then good for you and pursue that. But I would not recommend making a TikTok so that you can get in the Creator Fund and get money, because you don't necessarily get a lot of money unless you're a super top creator.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely TikTok is very like vague with it. Because like when I first signed up, there's a few places on the app where like they give you like some sort of information and, facts and questions and answers kind of thing. And so I was reading through a bunch of that stuff because I really wanted to make sure I understood it before I dove into it. And, they basically say something like, based on your views and engagement. So they kind of pair some of the two. It's not just based on views, but kind of like however they feel, it seems. You will get, you'll be paid, per your views and engagement.
There's probably some algorithm AI overlord behind it all.
Probably, because there's no way that they could sit down with each individual account and figure out, let's see how Tux is doing, and look at your account and your views and decide how much you've earned per day or whatever. But I've roughly kind of seen at least once when I've been on the TikTok Creator Fund. I did have like a day where I got like 20,000 views and I got about like 98 cents. So I don't know. That's kind of my rough estimate, but we'll see as I continue on. Like, maybe I can get more accurate information. But so far, like I feel like a very, very rough estimated idea of like what, that actually kind of looks like. Is, maybe 20,000 views gets you like $1 essentially. And so that's kind of daunting. But yeah, if you're racking in like a few million views per video, like you can imagine that's probably, with that estimated round up number, you might be making around like 500 or even more with per TikTok. Especially if you get sponsored, because that's like, especially compared to YouTube, if you get monetized on YouTube, which requires like 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours, which is the amount of hours people are watching your videos for within a year. And if you reach that, then you get monetized with ads, and the ad revenue is not very much. It's pretty similar, I would say, to the Creator Fund at this point, just very minimum. But what happens is YouTubers and other content creators on TikTok as well, they do other things like Lincoln said, they stream, they make YouTube content, they also have merch, and if they're really lucky, they have sponsorships, which is where the actual legit money comes in, is from sponsors and from other brand deals that they make. So, this video or this post was sponsored by blah, 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 and they talk about the brand for a hot second. That's sponsorship, and that's a contracted deal with the creator to be able to receive money for them basically advertising to their audience. It's kind of like the new way companies are advertising, because it's more efficient, because their followers rely and also like just are trustworthy of the people they follow. So if like, oh, let's just say, X creator is talking about this brand. Oh, actually, I really do trust this creator, and if they believe in it, like, I should go check it out maybe. Like, it sounds like it might be cool. And so that kind of is how that sort of thing works. But yeah, definitely the real money isn't in the TikTok Creator Fund. It's definitely in other things.
Agreed. If you're doing art on like any platform, I would recommend you maybe sell prints, kind of try and gauge interest, and maybe start selling like stickers, just kind of like smaller stuff that's easier to produce, and see how you can handle it, compared to just relying solely on that. I don't think as an artist TikTok can be your main source of whatever. TikTok is, I've found, used as a very good funnel. So
Yes.
I basically use TikTok to funnel into my Twitch, and from Twitch I have found success there, and that's where I've grown my community. And from my Twitch, I've made a Discord server where I have all the people in there, where I can basically talk with them, hang out with them, play games with them, discuss art. I have like art channels, art help channels, and it's wonderful. And Zach has a similar Discord as well.
Yeah.
So TikTok's great, but it's better, personally, I've found, to use it as a funnel.
Yeah. It's definitely a platform where you can get discovered the best. Because like as of right now, like maybe in like a year or two, this might change. So if you're thinking about doing TikTok or just started doing TikTok and kind of dropped it, I would recommend getting on top of that as soon as you can, because you never know when things change. Because things with TikTok, the algorithm and things like that have changed a few times as me and Lincoln have been doing things. And it's still, technically, I feel like it's still in its like almost like pioneer phase of like, hey, like we're actually letting creators be discovered, versus YouTube, where you throw out a video into the void and you're like, well, I hope that worked. Versus TikTok is a little bit more reliable.
TikTok is just recently entering the mainstream, so there's
it's
a lot of interesting stuff going on there.
Yeah, it's getting a little rougher to be discovered. I still feel like the discoverability is definitely there, so I would jump on it as fast as you can, because you don't want to miss that bandwagon. Imagine, if you were on Vine just before it started to get really big, imagine the, ability to be discovered on there. And, describing TikTok as a funnel is super important. Think of it as a funnel. You can gain a lot of followers, and you can push them and drive them to other things. Like even you're talking about, having like an art shop as an artist. I also have my own shop, zachshirtsartwork.com. But on that, I would show people behind the scenes of like, hey, this is how I make stickers. Here's a tutorial, and you can also purchase these stickers. And I think people like to feel connected to what they're buying, because otherwise they wouldn't really buy it unless it solves a problem or something. Like say like, oh, this phone's going to solve my problems. Like it has a faster processor or something, so they're going to buy it. But with art, people usually like to have a connection. So, you might buy artwork from like maybe a certain fandom, like an anime or a movie or a TV show, because you're in love with those characters. You're kind of devoted to it. And on TikTok, you can do the same thing where you're like, hey, here's a behind the scenes. This is how it's made. And it provided some sort of information to you. And you now feel a little bit more committed or like connected to like whatever art that they're doing. Maybe that you're telling them the story behind what art you're making or character you're drawing. I think that's important. But yeah, definitely using it as a funnel is really important. And it's definitely a big way, like I've seen, because I've used other platforms as like a funnel to do other things. Like for me, TikTok was kind of going off, so I was like, okay, pushing people to my Twitch stream. And then when people came to my Twitch stream, I'd be like, hey, I do YouTube and stuff as well. And I started to be able to funnel people and filter people who are actually like interested in what I do sincerely. And I think that that's super, super important. But
But what is a follower?
yeah.
Why do you want one?
So like why do you want a following? I've met people that have gained a following and they just kind of don't know what they're doing. Like they're making videos, but they don't really have a purpose. They don't have like a direction with where they're going. And it kind of shows, because you might have a viral video that pops off, you gain a ton of followers, but those followers don't really translate to like true like people that are committed to watching your stuff or wanting to see your stuff. And so it comes to the point where it's like, yeah, you have a super viral video, but then all of a sudden you see the new videos you're posting, they're only getting like a few hundred views. So it's like, what's the point of having followers if it doesn't translate to what you want to do? And I think that's important, is having like a purpose and like a
So
reason
Zach,
for it.
why do you want followers?
For the clout. No, I'm just kidding.
For the money. That's all
For
we're
the
in it for, is the
money.
money. It's all about money. No, don't make it about the money.
No, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I think cuz growing up like in the early days of YouTube, I always wanted to be like not even for like the money, because this was like before YouTube was like even like a monetized thing. I'd watch things like Fred or other like YouTube OG YouTubers, and I was just like, that's so cool, because then I'd look at the comments, I'm like, that's so fun, like they can talk to people and people are like interested to see the next video. So I'm like, that creates such a cool, interesting hype where like, hey, like I'm not just making videos, like I'm still making for fun and for me, but like there's also people that are waiting to see the next video I do. Like that's really fun. And I think that's what's exciting, is having some sort of community that's like hyped about what you're doing and actually like engaging with the content you're making. And so for me, I think that's why I want followers, is so that way I can, I don't know. And two, I think for me, like once I started to gain like a few, like a bunch of followers, and it kind of like was really special to see like the effect it had, whether it was just on like one person, of just being like, hey, like this really helped me. I'm like, that's awesome. Or like, hey, like I bought some of your stickers and now I gave it to my sister or whatever, and we're in like, like Oregon or something, or we're in Florida, and I'm like, that's so cool to think a piece of my artwork is sitting on someone's phone case over across the country. Like that's just wild. And I think that's what was special about having followers for me,
I love that.
was that like connection.
Yeah. I think the reason I like quote want followers is I started making videos that were just like, hey guys, this is something interesting I found. Check it out. And then I started getting a bunch of followers and I'm like, shoot, I can either just keep making amusing stuff or I could use this for good. And so basically like my goal in life is to spread smiles as much as I can across the planet. And so I basically try to make content to grow a community of artists that can be positive and not really deal with harshness, because throughout high school and in my early days of on the internet, I felt like I faced a lot of backlash and a lot of like bullying and all that great stuff. Partly because of the art communities I was in. I was in a lot of like fan art communities of different shows and stuff, and I'd post my stuff and people would say like, "Oh, this is crap," and I was like, "Oh," I'd like break my little heart, a 14-year-old, which I'm actually impressed with modern like fan art communities and just art communities in general. Like, it seems like for the most part everyone's just so like loving and accepting and just kind to each other, and I haven't necessarily seen any hatred. I've heard about it from a few friends, but I've been impressed, and so I'm trying to nurture something like that and just make people happy and show people like cool stuff. Like with my pins, I think I've told this story before. I tried reaching out to other pin creators and being like, "Hey, I want to make pins. How do I do this?" And being faced with gatekeeping, and I was like, "That is not cool." And so
Oh,
that kind of led me to make my series of, hey, here's everything you know so you can produce your own enamel pins and you don't have to get ripped off by a middleman if like you don't have to go through a middleman if you don't want to. I don't want to say ripped off because I am a middleman to people that would like to produce enamel pins. If you like to produce enamel pins for your company or for yourself, you can feel free to shoot me an email at lincoln@tuxpins.com. Sorry, I got to plug myself.
yeah.
Um,
Also, gatekeeping, for those who don't know, is like people that know how to do something, but they kind of act like they're proprietary and like they're not going to give you free
yeah,
information
exactly.
because
Like it would be like if
I
somebody
don't
came
know.
to
It's
us and be
dumb.
like, "Hey, how do you guys record stuff on your podcast?" And we'd be like, "Oh, we're not going to tell you what we use." It's like I'm using Audacity right now, and Zach's using Adobe Audition. I was using Adobe Audition, but it messed up.
No, no, I'm not even using that. I'm just using the Windows recorder
Oh,
for the
that is
mic.
awesome.
The built-in. Yeah, I'm not even
Yeah,
using
so like
anything.
gatekeeping would be us
It's
not
just the
telling you what
basic.
we use to record and all that stuff, and not helping you get into a hobby or passion or whatever. And so eventually, I found out how to make enamel pins. It was a lot more difficult than it could have been. But then that led me to make my series,
Hmm.
and now a bunch of people message me like, "Hey, I just made pins. Check them out. They're so cool." And I've bought those pins, and like, wow, like I didn't get anything out of it. Like I didn't make any money from this enamel pin or from this person,
Yeah, you help. You had. You gave
but
people
I
your money.
let someone. I opened the doors to somebody joining this beautiful passion of enamel pin making, and they have this awesome thing that they do now, and they discovered that because I was just so willing to give out the information. And I think there needs to be more of that. Like if anybody wants to do something or start a business or do whatever, I don't think the information should be kept. And so that's kind of
Right.
what I try to do on my
And I think
account.
that's what we're doing in this episode too. Is like pulling the curtain behind of like, wow, what would it be like to have 10,000 followers, or what would it be like to have like X amount of followers? Like, you know, I that's the reality of it. Like there's a lot of like different videos that I've watched on people talking about like algorithm stuff, which can be useful, but when you boil it down to it, it's just like being consistent and posting and seeing what does well. And if it does well and you still like
Keep
making that
making more of
content,
it.
then go
Stay
for it.
find your niche, find something
Yeah.
you really really like to do and make your content within the niche. Don't You can feel free to copy people,
Yeah.
but be unapologetically yourself. Make what you want to watch and make good content. If you see a big trend going off and it's like a viral trend and you try and make the video and it's not necessarily your type, like if you're not feeling it, don't make that video. Find what you like, even if you're a beginner
Yeah.
artist. If you're a beginner artist, you can make an account about, hey, this is my progress in my journey of learning to art. Check it out. If you're an experienced artist um, within the business or within the just you're working in the professional sphere, share what you're doing so people can be like, dang, I want to get to that point. Or share your process, like, hey, this is how me, a professional character designer, designs characters. Or here's some tricks I use as a professional concept artist to speed up my workflow. Or here's the basics of art that you learned. Like, just share what you know, share what you love, and be consistent and just go out there and put out content. And when something works, do that more. Even if it's got 1,000 more views than the other video, do more of that one that worked better because that's what people are reacting to, and you want to do that.
Right. And I think it's important too that you know, I feel like people that might be listening that are like really looking for like the one single thing, or like the key points that might be a little more technical, might be kind of disappointed But I mean, there are those things out there, and there are things that we could potentially talk about. But things with, social media, they change. Like we could suggest, like, oh yeah, do this, and then it changes. And I feel like the main things that we're trying to get at is like, here are the general rules about this platform. The other things you kind of learn along the way, and they're not really that complicated that, like we would be the only people that would be able to tell you that. Like, that's just something, if you look into it a little bit and like look at what's performing well, you can kind of see like, oh, well, this video, got like 1 million views. Like, why did it get 1 million views? And I think that's what's interesting, is like being curious. And I think as long as you're curious and kind of investigating a little bit, like you can really just figure those things out very, like for face value. Be like, oh, well, they use these hashtags. Maybe I'll try using some of these hashtags and see what happens. It's a lot of experimentation. And, it's not one single answer that works for everybody. And I think that's kind of the thing that everyone looks for, is like, what's the one thing that I can do that works? Well, it's not the same for everybody. Like, one person could do bare minimum effort, but because of their specific video that they make, for some reason it just takes off, and that's what they do. They do those kind of videos. And some people have to kind of like use some hashtags and do these things. And it just kind of depends on what you're doing and what's working, and weeding out the things that don't work. And it's kind of finding the balance between doing what you love, but also trying to, make sure things are going well on the platform.
Get out there and just experiment, make stuff, and do what you love, show what you love, and we believe in you. You guys got this.
Yeah, keep it up, and just comment and talk to your followers, gain that kind of community that you might be looking for, and really seek after, why am I doing this, and does it make me happy? And as long as you're going that same direction, you're happy and you're having fun, then that's what matters.
Don't stress too much about the numbers. Just have a good time, make the stuff you love, make the stuff that you want to watch. And on that note, I think we're done here.
Yeah, hopefully this helped you. If it did, please leave a comment down in the description.
With this video.
If you have any other, or not description, comments, I mean. But please share any other information. Maybe there's some useful information that you guys have found. Be sure to share it. This is a non-gatekeeping community. Yeah. Share this video with one friend, and let's see if we can't pass along some info. Oh, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming today, you guys. This has been the Digital Pen Pals Podcast, episode 18. Holy cow, we're almost at 20. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This has been Mr. Zach Shirts and me, Lincoln, or Chuck Bodine. And, yeah, have a great